Powder coat, paint. How do I prep this stuff? Anodize, refinish? What does any of this mean? You know what? Sit down, let's talk about it. What's up guys? It's Ben from Retroformance here. And we're right at the point where we gotta start prepping a lot of the parts on the Husky build that we need to refinish. But what does that mean? You know, if you're new to the vintage bike game or never rebuilt a bike yourself, you know, there might be some questions you have. You know, everybody talks powder coating. What does that mean? Should it be powder coated? What is anodized? Can you leave stuff bare? Do you have to clear coat? So there's a few questions that I wanna kind of address today to help you, maybe a novice, if you're tearing down a bike and you wanna get into it and make it look good as new. So I'm gonna go grab some of the parts from the Husky and let's get into it. First thing we'll go over, powder coat, literally powder. And what they do actually is shoot it with a gun onto the part that is electrically charged, and it can adhere to the metal and then it gets baked on. It comes out basically like a paint finish, but it's much stronger as long as the surface is clean and bare. Now, this is what most people go with for frames and big pieces, that you want a paint-like finish, but you just want it a lot stronger. So option one, powder coat. Option two, paint. Now this is, you know, everybody who's probably watching this knows what paint is. Spray it on. As long as you prep the surface, it comes out okay. Nowhere near as durable as powder coat. Usually if you have something that's big and flat, you can finish it a little bit better, and it works a little bit better with paint than it does powder. The only thing is it's on a bike. There's not very big surfaces like that where you would need that. So paint, try to stay away from it as much as you can on a bike rebuild because there's just better options out there. Third option, anodizing. Now, anodizing is an electrolytic process in which they actually create a layer of oxide on the outside of the part. So what it's doing is just basically building up the oxide layer that already exists on the part, and it creates a layer that's basically prevents more corrosion of the part. Now, this is great for aluminum, and one of the benefits of this is it can be really, really thin, whereas powder and paint tend to build up. You can get flaking. This is really, really thin, and super durable. So for parts with interference, clearances, diametral clearances, things where you have a lot of mating parts, you don't want a lot of buildup, especially on sharp edges from coatings like powder and paint. Anodizing helps there. You don't really want to anodize everything, because the cost is a lot more than powder coat and paint. Now your last option is metal finishing. Metal finishing means you're just basically finishing the raw metal and then you leave it. Benefits of this are you don't have to have it sent out. You could usually do it in-house with like a scratch pad or a buffing wheel or something like that if you're looking for like a polished look. The downsides of this are eventually it's gonna tarnish or rust depending on if it's steel or aluminum. Thing I would suggest is if you're gonna do that, you need some sort of clear. Now you can do a clear powder, a clear anodize, you can get brush-on clears, maybe from like Eastwood. They have various metal finishing clears that you can put on some of this stuff to at least, you know, help the longevity of your finish. So those are kind of the options that you have when it comes to coating things on your bike. So what we'll do now is we'll actually dive into some of the main components and then what we're planning on doing on this bike. All right guys, let's start with the frame. The frame on this was originally powder coated white, so why reinvent the wheel? I'm powder coating it white. I mean, it's pretty simple, but things to remember are power wash and really clean the frame before you need to strip it, either chemically strip it or sandblast it. Sandblasting looks like this, and make sure you get in the nooks and crannies of the welds and the joints, because that kind of stuff might hold some old chemicals or old coatings. And what that'll do is when you go to bake your new powder, a lot of that stuff will bleed through and ruin your new powder coat. So top tip, clean and sandblast really, really, really well before you have that done. Swing arm time. This swing arm was powder coated silver over aluminum. We're gonna powder coat it silver. I think we have Porsche silver, so that'll be kind of neat on here. The newer swing arms are bare. They have a really bright new aluminum look to them. We're gonna go the easy route on this one, unfortunately, just because we'd have to send it out to try to get that new aluminum look. We don't have a vapor cabinet right now set up. We're just gonna powder coat it and it'll come out beautiful. Forks. These originally, the bottoms were painted. They probably should have been powder coat because when I was pressure washing it, it like brushed it all right off. But we are going to leave them raw though. I think it'll be a cool look, and actually it'll hold up better against the dirt and the roost because these don't really have plastic fork guards on them. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna brush them and kind of refinish the aluminum, and then we're gonna clear them and we're gonna see how they hold up. So I think it'll be a cool look and something different. Triple clamps. Triple clamps, usually the nice ones that all look pretty online, those are anodized. They do that because you can get cool colors and whatnot, and they're super tough, but it also doesn't build up. So like this one here, it looks like it's flaked off over the years and it's all been scratched out of the inside and around the corners where the bolts go and stuff. Powder coat isn't really the best situation. A lot of people do it, but you gotta tape off, and you just gotta know that, you know, these sharp edges are gonna flake at some point. So I don't know what we're gonna do with these yet. We might go with like a brushed and then a clear, or we might powder coat them and just do the due diligence and tape them off, or we might send them out and get them anodized. I don't know yet, but those are kind of your options with triple clamps. All right, the shock. What we'll do is we're actually gonna powder coat the spring a different color because it's starting to flake here, and then it'll just rust and look really bad. Woohoo! Playboy blue for the spring. So we're gonna change it up a little bit. I think it'll look cool on Husky, you know, the white, the gold, and the blue. So we'll see. Burr, burr. Wheels. Most wheels are actually anodized over the aluminum rim. The tendency of people, if they see a scratch or a flake, is to either have them powder coated or like buff it out because they think that it's just raw aluminum and you could just blend that in. Usually they are clear anodized, and what you'll do is you'll wear through the coating, and then that spot is gonna be prone to corrosion way sooner than the rest of it. These wheels and hubs and spokes actually look like in really good shape. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna clean up the anodized, scrub it really good, and spokes are usually bare. So we'll take a little polishing compound, polish those up, clean up the hubs with just some soap and water, and run it. So these are pretty much all set. So that saves us some work. All right, so we basically just went through the main components that we need to send out or do in-house to refinish the main components of the bike. So we'll go through more of the stuff like the stuff on the motor and the plastics and whatnot as we get a little further into it. Wanted to get all this out of the way, educate you guys on a few choices that you would have to make when you go to refinish your bike. So now I gotta get to it. Throw in the comments anything else you'd like me to go over. We're gonna keep moving forward, so subscribe to the channel and follow along with the build and some of the other builds. Take it easy.